If you constantly feel like you're running on fumes, just completely trapped in a cycle of being overworked and burnt out, then you are in the right place. We're about to break down a really powerful new way of thinking that's designed to help you get your time, your energy, and, honestly, your sanity back. So, let's dive right in. Does this sound familiar to you? Your calendar is just a wall of back-to-back meetings, your inbox is an absolute disaster zone, and that to-do list? Yeah, it just seems to get longer no matter what you do. You are moving all day long, but when you finally log off, it feels like you've just been running on a hamster wheel. It's an incredibly common and incredibly frustrating feeling. Well, the framework we're looking at today says this isn't just you being bad at managing your time. It might actually be a busyness addiction. The author, Austen, makes the case that our brains get these tiny little dopamine hits every time we check off a small, sometimes totally meaningless task. So that feeling of being productive after a chaotic day, that's kind of the addiction talking, tricking us into thinking we're making progress when we're really just spinning our wheels. Our guide for this journey is Austen's book, Smarter, and it's really struck a chord, being called a manifesto for working women. And that's because it takes a direct shot at the hustle culture that's leading so many of us straight to burnout. It promises a new system, a better way to get more done, but with way less stress. So before we can even talk about the solution, we gotta really understand the problem. Why is this whole hustle culture idea so completely broken? Let's take a closer look. And here it is, the heart of the problem. We've been taught to believe that being busy means you're being successful. We almost wear our exhaustion like it's some kind of badge of honor. But this whole mindset is a trap. It pushes us to prioritize just being active over being impactful, filling our days with busy work instead of the things that actually move the needle. This table really just lays it all out, doesn't it? I mean, look at overloading. We tell ourselves we're just being super efficient, but what it really leads to is total burnout. The smarter answer? Monotasking, actually forcing yourself to focus. Or how about neglecting energy? We try to power through that afternoon slump, but all it gets us is decision fatigue. The correction is so simple. Track your energy, not just your time. It's a complete game changer. It's about shifting your whole perspective. All right, so we've laid out the problem, now for the good part. Let's dig into the solution. What's the core philosophy behind working smarter? This right here is the absolute heart of it. The book argues that real, lasting change doesn't come from some new productivity app or a different kind of to-do list. It comes from a complete mental reset, shifting your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance, and starting to manage your energy with the same level of care you manage your time. So what does this look like in the real world? First up is energy tracking. This idea is so simple, but it is brilliant. Instead of forcing your brain to write a huge creative report at 3 in the afternoon when all you really want is a coffee and a nap, you do that heavy lifting work during your high energy morning peak. And that 3 p.m. slump, that's the perfect time to clear out some easy emails. You're actually working with your body's natural rhythm instead of fighting against it. Next, we have the busyness detox. This is all about intentionally and consciously creating some quiet. We're talking about turning off notifications, stepping away from the endless doom scrolling, and maybe most importantly, getting really comfortable saying no to things that don't help you reach your main goals. Think of it as hitting the reset button on your focus. Oh, I love this phrase, boundary architecture. It completely reframes how we think about boundaries. They aren't just these passive walls you put up, they're active systems that you have to design, communicate, and then defend. So this could be something like a hard rule of not checking work emails after 6 p.m. or blocking out deep work time in your calendar that nobody can touch. You literally become the architect of your own time and attention. And finally, there's monotasking. You know, we all like to think we're great multitaskers, but the science on this is crystal clear. It's a myth. Your brain isn't actually doing 2 complex things at once. It's just switching between them really fast. And every single one of those switches costs you time and mental energy. Monotasking is the discipline of cutting out those switching costs by giving one thing and one thing only your complete attention. The jump in the quality and speed of your work is just dramatic. Okay, so this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But the big question is, how do you actually get started? Well, the book lays out a really clear path to start putting these ideas to work. And the most important thing here is not to get overwhelmed. You don't have to completely tear down your life and rebuild it overnight. Real change begins with small, deliberate, and consistent steps. So the book suggests 4 really concrete first steps. First, do an energy audit. For 1 week, just notice your peaks and valleys. When do you feel sharp? When do you feel sluggish? Second, Schedule 1-day busyness detox. No notifications, just focus. Third, try to time block just one session of deep work during one of your peak energy windows. And fourth, build one new boundary, just one, like no work emails on Saturday. That's it. Small, totally manageable changes.
Now, of course, no single system is a magic bullet for everyone. So let's take a step back and have a balanced look at this whole framework, thinking about its strengths, but also its potential limitations. Because understanding where an approach like this really shines and where it might fall a little short is going to help you decide if it's the right fit for you, for your job, and your life. So what's the final take? Well, the book's biggest strength, for sure, is its super clear, actionable roadmap and that absolute game-changing focus on energy over time. But it does have its limits. If you're in a genuinely toxic work environment, some of this advice might feel, well, a little out of reach. And if you're someone who needs hard, empirical scientific studies to back everything up, you might be left wanting a bit more. It's a fantastic toolkit, but it's probably not a universal cure-all.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. When you look at your own week, what is one busy task, one thing you do just to feel productive, that you can let go of? Just one thing. See what happens when you make a little more space for what really matters.